Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's your man James, aka JP, back again with the toy room, and today's going to be a little bit of a different video. This is going to be more of a discussion video. I do want you guys to let me know in the comments how you're feeling about obviously what we're going to talk about in this video. In theory, this should probably be a live video. I just don't have time for that, so I'm filming this and putting it out there. But today we're going to be talking about the brand new reveal of the PlayStation 5 Pro and my initial thoughts of it. And again, I want to know everybody else's initial thoughts. How are you guys feeling about it? And I'm just going to go ahead and just get right off the bat with it. Number one, I don't like the design of it, and number two, holy is it expensive. I mean, $700 is a lot of money, and that's just for a digital version. So let's go ahead and back all this up and just kind of get into what the PS5 Pro is. So the PS5 Pro is a newer, upgraded model of the regular PS5 that is looking to basically give you the ability to play 4K 60 frames per second, whereas previously you have to choose if you want 4K 30 frames per second or 1080p 60 frames per second. With me, I always choose the 1080p 60 frames per second because with the graphics I can kind of settle for 1080p and it's not that big of a deal, but I can't settle for the frame rate being at 30 frames per second. I mean, in some games like Spider-Man and Final Fantasy, it's almost unplayable. It's very slow, very choppy, and sometimes it may even dip to under 30 frames per second. So for me, I'm always choosing that 1080p 60 frames per second. What the PS5 Pro is promising is that you won't have to compromise anymore, and the PS5 Pro will be strong enough to actually do 4K all the way up to 120 frames per second if your TV allows for it, as well as whatever game you're playing, if that's optimized for the 120 frames per second. But at minimum, you should be getting 60 frames per second playing in 4K, which all sounds great. However, that's basically it. Now, there are a couple other different features that are included in the PS5 Pro, as far as like AI upscaling to upscale some of the older titles, like some of the original PS5 titles that may not be supported and have a patch coming for the 4K 120. It will still use AI upscaling to kind of upscale the graphics a little bit, and where you're really going to see that improvement is in older titles like PS4 titles that are backwards compatible with the PS5. So the PS5 Pro will use some of that AI upscaling to make some of those older PS4 games look a lot better and kind of upscale them to 4K without using traditional methods of upscaling where it's using AI to upscale. So kind of interesting there. Again though, we're talking $700. And I know for PC gamers, you all are gonna laugh at, you know, your 103,000 frames per second on your PCs, and I get it, but we're talking about console gamers right here, specifically PlayStation. Now, you guys know, if you've been followers of the channel for a while, the last console generation, the Xbox One X, as you can see right here, that was my main console of choice, and I really did not like the PS4 at all. Now, eventually down the line, I did get a PS4 Pro Spider-Man edition, specifically to play Spider-Man, and some of the other PlayStation exclusives like God of War and whatever else came out for the PS4 that was exclusive at the time that I wanted to play. I think Kingdom Hearts was one of them as well, but it eventually came to Xbox. But anyways, for this console generation, I have switched over to PS5 since day one. I had the PS5 on release day, did a whole unboxing video of that, and that was very, very exciting. That was a very exciting time, and I feel like even going from the Xbox One to the Xbox One X that we have here, which is basically the Pro version of the Xbox One for last console generation, I feel like there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of power and capability and upgrades and reason to want to upgrade from the Xbox One X, or from the Xbox One to the Xbox One X. Faster load times, things like that. Whereas going from the PS5 to the PS5 Pro, I don't feel like there's that much excitement and stuff to get excited for. Like, the load times are probably going to be about the same. Granted, you are getting a bigger hard drive at 2 terabytes, which is nice over the standard like 850 gigs or whatever it is. However, I have an external SSD installed in my PS5, so that's not really an issue for me, and I would just essentially transfer that SSD over to the PS5 Pro if I were to get it. Now, I'm still undecided, but I'm leaning towards not getting it, but we'll kind of get there towards the end of the video. So then, moving on from that, as I was saying, you're gonna have basically the same exact load times, maybe slightly faster, but nothing. I don't even think Sony mentioned the load time, so it's nothing really to write home about. It's still going to be exceptional load times from the SSD. And then you are going to have a bigger SSD in 2 terabytes, which is nice. But the problem is, other than that, and a little bit better graphics that really, you kind of have to have them side by side to really notice a difference. And that's kind of the problem with it. It's like, yeah, they're great, and nerds and tech people and all that, they may notice a little bit, you know, higher pixels in the background, you know, a better frame rates and all of that. But for the average user, I don't think they're going to notice, number one, because it was very hard even in Sony's video to even notice the differences while they were putting it on screen side by side. Now granted, you know, it was a small thing, it wasn't like on a big screen in front of you like that, and it was compressed from YouTube and all of that stuff, which I get it, but having them side by side, the differences weren't really all that noticeable, especially not enough to want to spend the extra, you know, $700 to upgrade. Now granted, if you wanted to, you could sell your original PS5 and upgrade to it and probably make about half the money or half the cost of the new PS5 Pro, but for me, who likes to keep all their consoles, I would just have to shell out the whole $700. But it's not just $700, because as you guys can see behind me with all of my, these are all my PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 you can't see because I'm blocking the PS1 section, but these are all of my PlayStation games behind me. And as you can tell, I love physical media, I collect physical media, I do not own any digital consoles, and I do not like downloading any games digitally if I don't have to. If it's a game that's only available exclusive digitally, then I'll do it, but if it has a physical version, I always opt to get the physical version for collecting purposes, also for like resale purposes down the line. If I ever decide that I want to sell any of this, you know, I have tangible stuff to sell, whereas digital stuff, you don't have that option. So the problem is the PS5 Pro is only coming digitally at $700. $700 for a digital only console. If I want to get a physical version of that console, essentially I have to buy the external disk drive that basically, I think it's the same exact disk drive that they use for the PS5 Slims. I have to get that disk drive and use it for the PS5 Pro. So the PS5 Pro alone is $700. The disk drive is an additional $80. So now you're looking at $780 before tax, and after tax you're probably looking at, I don't know, something like $850 or something like that. Insane. So, and even for somebody like me who has a part-time job at Target, who gets a 10% discount and also an additional 5% if I use my Target Red card, so I basically get 15% off. Even using my discounts to get this PS5 Pro with the external disk drive, it's still gonna be about like $750, somewhere around there, $740, $750 after taxes and stuff, which is still a ton of money. And I can't really, I've been looking for excuses to want to get it because I want the new shiny thing, and you know, I want to unbox it day one and just have that same feeling that I had when I unboxed the PS5 day one. But unfortunately, the differences are so, you know, on paper, yes, the differences are probably much better, but just to the human eye, the differences are so small that I don't have the urge to want to get it. I don't, at that price point, I just can't justify wanting to get it. And that just seems to be the consensus online, which makes me think the PS5 Pro is probably going to have poor sales, especially, like, I'm sure the first initial batch of ones will sell out for everybody who wants to get them, for the enthusiasts that want to get them, for maybe people who don't have PS5s and been waiting for like a Pro model to come out, they may want to get them, or just obviously YouTubers and reviewers who want to get their hands on them. I think that initial wave will sell out. And then after that, I think, honestly, I think they're going to sit on shelves and have really poor sales. And I'm hoping that will eventually either, you know, lower the cost of it in general, or just have some, you know, sales for Black. I don't think we'll have sales this year for Black Friday, but maybe next year and whatnot. So I think for now, I'm personally going to hold off on it, because I really cannot justify spending $700, you know, $800 and something after taxes and getting the external drive and all that stuff. I cannot justify it. There's not that big of a performance boost for me to want to do it. There's no incentives for me to want to get it, and I just don't like the design of it. It looks exactly like the PS5 Slim with these black lines on the side. I don't really like it, and I'm somebody who loved the original design of the original fat PS5, which I still have, and I still love that design. I thought it was really unique. The PS5 Slim, while it was kind of the same design but a little bit different, I didn't really like that one, and this PS5 Pro just feels like a lot of the same, which is one of the reasons why I opted to switch from the Xbox One going into the PS5 generation. I didn't go with the Xbox Series X and I went with the PS5 because I didn't like the design of the Xbox Series X. It felt like a lot of the same stuff. The controllers were basically identical. The Series X felt like just a slightly different shape, you know, of the Xbox One X. Obviously, you know, more of a, I don't know, a rectangle versus like a flat rectangle, I guess. I don't know, you guys get what I'm saying. I just didn't like the shape of the Series X, and I don't like the looks of the PS5. It just looks like a lot of the same stuff. For a Pro model, I'm just wanting something a little bit drastically different and not something that looks essentially like a PS5 Slim with some black lines on the side. Maybe that's just me. I know some people don't care about the design at all. But even just putting the design to the side, there's just not enough performance incentive for me to want to jump out and spend this kind of money on it, because really, I mean, the PS5, the regular PS5 plays absolutely fine, other than having to sacrifice, you know, if you want the frame rate, you have to sacrifice the graphics and go down to 1080p 60 frames per second versus 4K 30 frames per second. But for me, I don't know, that's just a lot of money to spend to have, you know, consistent 4K graphics with 60 plus frames per second. So for me, I don't know, I'm torn on it. Like, I really want to find a reason to get it, and no matter how hard I try, I just can't justify spending that amount of money. If it drops to, like, you know, $600, somewhere around there, you know, then that's understandable. $100 more than a base PS5 or a PS5 Slim. So at that price point, at $600, I think I can probably justify it just a little bit more. I mean, $600 is still a lot of money, and then I still have to spend an additional $80 to still get the physical drive and stuff. So either way you slice it, no matter how you look at it, it's still going to be a ton of money. And for me personally, I still have to get the physical drive add-on, which I'm just not happy about. I don't know why they didn't make a digital version and a physical version, and have the physical version maybe be $50 more like it is with the base model. So you have the digital version at $700 and the physical version at $750. They could have done something like that. Not really sure why they didn't, and now we're being forced to spend an additional $80 rather than maybe an additional $50. So I don't know, I'm not feeling good about this. I mean, the performance is great, obviously, being able to not have to compromise your graphics and your frame rate, but other than that, I mean, there's just not enough there for me to justify buying it, to want to buy it. And I feel like that's kind of the consensus online. So let me know down below, what do you guys think? How are you feeling about this? Are you going to go out and dish all that money to have an upgraded PS5? Are you going to sell your original PS5 to kind of help cover some of the costs, which is something I considered, but as a collector, I just can't do that because, you know, I have so many consoles. I'm not going to get rid of one. That's just what it is being a collector, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna wait till maybe next year. Hopefully there's some sort of sale, and hopefully the sales on the PS5 Pro will not be that good. That's gonna force Sony to kind of lower the price on it or something. You know, something's got to be done. I don't think they're gonna move a lot of units. Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but I'm starting to ramble on. But I just kind of wanted to get all of my thoughts and opinions on the PS5 Pro because, you know, as somebody who switched over to his main console as the PS5 and has been in love with it since day one, I still love it to this day. I still feel like this DualSense controller is probably, you know, one of the best, if not the best controller of all time. I mean, probably up there with you know, the original Xbox 360 controller. I mean, this is still probably one of the more comfortable controllers of all time, along with the PS4. The original PS4 had a really comfortable controller, which I don't have access to right now. It's in storage somewhere. But the technology in this, the you know, the dynamic triggers and the vibrations and rumbles and the touchpad and all the technology in this is still one of my favorite, or I'm gonna probably say it's my favorite controller of all time, and it's miles ahead of the Xbox Series X controller. And again, I'm not like Team PlayStation or Team Xbox. I love all consoles, all video games. I have all consoles and all video games in my collection. As you can see, like, I got a Switch right here, I got a PS4, I got Xboxes, I got everything. So I don't hold any allegiance. I just kind of call it how I see it and go, you know, go along with however I feel with that console generation, or just in general. Like, this PS5 Pro is not doing it for me, so I'm probably not going for it, you know, right away. Maybe when GTA 6 comes out, maybe, you know, that game's gonna be so monumental, I'll want to get the most out of that game. So maybe for GTA 6, but I'm not gonna go ahead and just, I'm not gonna say that I'm for sure getting it. Just maybe GTA 6, maybe it'll make me think about it. But anyways, I know I'm starting to ramble on, so let me know down in the comments below, what are you guys feeling about this PS5 Pro, the price, are you gonna get it, all that good stuff. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends, and check out some of my room tours. If you guys like what's behind me, you're gonna love everything you can't see behind the camera, so definitely check those out. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here. So as always, guys, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you guys next time.